Library and Information Week is here.
Welcome GK to the National Archives, and this year we celebrate Library Week, and our theme is libraries, still valuable, still relevant, still connecting people, and our sub-theme is embracing the past, discovering historic knowledge. This year we celebrate Library Week from the 12th to the 18th of May. So my first question to you is, have you ever done research at the National Archives?
No, I've never done any research at the National Archives.
At the archives, no, I've never done research. I've heard a lot about it though.
No.
No.
But I passed through the library.
Interesting question. If you go back through your records, you'll see the forms that I filled out and signed.
Yeah.
Maybe over 40 times. Over 40 of those forms will be in your records.
What do you think the purpose of the National Archives is in your own words?
From my knowledge, the purpose of the National Archives is to store information, whether it is sensitive information, historic information, keeping records of certain different documents that are supposed to be something that's important to keep on hand. I think that's what the purpose of the National Archives is, especially, like I remember the last time I was doing a thing, you was telling me about keeping records of different lands and owns and titles, you know, things that the government should keep record of.
Just by the very meaning of the word, it's a place that, or you could say a holding of historical documents and artifacts. Yeah.
I would think the purpose of National Archives is to document the history of the country, whether it's politically, sports, or other cultural and other aspect of national life in Dominica.
It's sort of what they call a repository of documents from the past. So, for example, as I said, I was able to see what was published in the newspapers of the day in 1901 when two men died at Boiling. Of course, I'm sure that the archives would have, your archives, the Dominica archives, would have materials which would be much older than that.
Our purpose is to conserve and preserve the historic and documentary heritage of the nation and to make it accessible to the public.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's important. One of the importance is making it accessible.
Yes.
It's no use having it there on the lock and key and nobody can access it.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, somebody might be doing some research and would like to know certain bits of information. I've come here and seen where other clients came in and they wanted to find out about deaths or births or something of this sort. So it's a matter of really conserving them but making them available to the general public.
What kind of documents do you think the National Archives store at its facility?
I would think newspaper clippings, maybe certificate of titles, deeds, and there are other documents relevant to the history of Dominica.
I think historic buildings and the historic path that they took in terms of who had owned it, who had owned it, and that kind of thing. I think stuff like different books, historic books, and newspapers and businesses that have been in Dominica past and now. I think a record of that is stored at the archives.
Okay.
Well, I could start with all newspapers, books, reports, those kind of documents.
Okay. Well, just to give you a few, we have wills, land titles, caveats, as you said, the newspapers. We go back to dating till the 1800s. We have newspapers such as The People, The Star, The Times, Dominica Tribune. What do you think about our historic collection being digitized?
I think that's very important for it to be digitized, because a lot of people have the inability of traveling or finding any place if they don't travel and find a place, and having it digitized, that means it can be accessible online and websites and stuff like that. And I think it'll be an easier access to a lot of people. And a lot of people don't even know about the archives, and that could be another source of promotion for the archives to be broadcast outside there on social media and those kind of things, because it will be digital.
Okay.
Well, I cannot put a negative example on that. I think it's a very good move by the library authorities, and you never know, strange things happen, okay? And so I think it's a very good idea to have this digitized. When they're digitized, will the digitized version be available to the general public?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea, because paper documents, after a number of years, I think can be destroyed by weathering. The paper itself might get brittle,
Yes.
and in people accessing it, it might get torn up, and it may be difficult to maybe make out the words or the wording on some of those because of the tear of the pages. So I think having the archives digitized will be, a very worthwhile and a beneficial endeavor for the National Archives.
If you look at communication these days, basically all developed countries have digitized their archive for many purposes, and again for longevity, with the direction of where we are heading in terms of the digital age. So generations lower down or coming will not really want to go and open up dusty books. They would more want to sit at a computer terminal, and by a click of a key they find something that has happened hundreds of years ago. Time is money, so I think that's the best way to go.
My last question to you is: would you recommend persons to use the National Archives?
I really would. Because that's knowledge. Knowledge is power. That's like for you to know, like whether you can know certain things that people wouldn't know, and that could be of value to you. And for us to use the archives as a source of information where we can always pass on to our generation so that they never forget. I think that's powerful, especially for a will. I mean, can you imagine what you will know if you have those things digitized? That's a lot. Yeah.
It is not something that you would have to recommend. There's supposed to be, I would think, based on our education curricula, whether primary or secondary or tertiary, you would want to know that people are doing research. I think the archive is first and foremost a place for serious research.
Yes, I will, because I've been working with Mr. Arlington James for a little while now, and I've purchased several of his documents that he made, especially when it relates to football and even on Harlem. And I know you get all this information basically from the document center. So I would advise that anybody who wants to, especially sports and political or the history of Dominica, I recommend that they visit the National Archives, where they can get information dating way back, maybe all in the early 90s, and even further back in the 1990s, 1980s, maybe even back in the 18th century.
I'm not recommending. I mean, if somebody wants to use the archives, it's a matter of walking up the steps and coming. Yeah, certainly. Certainly. Matter of fact, I have on a couple of occasions, I have suggested to some folks to come to the documentation center /archives. for one document, two documents in particular that I produced. One was on the boiling lake fatalities. As I mentioned, we had two men, an Englishman and a Dominican tour guide. They perished at boiling lake.
Yeah.
So whatever I could get from the Dominican, that is in the newspaper, back in 1901, I compiled that into a little document. And so I've been speaking to a couple of tour guides and stuff like that. I told them, well, they can always go to the archives or to the documentation center and request to see that. They won't give them the newspaper to go through, but at least they have what was said in the newspaper in the form of that document. The second one was on the discovery, quote unquote, of a diablotin bird in the middle of Roseau back in 1932. I wanted to find out what did the press have to say about that back in the day. I don't recall the name of the newspaper at the time, but that event was fairly well covered, I should say. So and again, sometimes as a retired forestry officer, you walk down the road, people call you, they ask you things about birds and stuff like that. And there was some discussion that came up over the diablotin. And because I had published an article on a diablotin bird that was found at the entrance to Trafalgar, and they were called Padu. And although that happened in 2007, it took me 7 years before I could write something and have it published in the papers. So I had that published in the Sun newspaper, and a couple of people who read it asked me about the previous bird, the bird that had been found almost 50 years to the month. 50 years to the month. That was in 1932. So I sometimes refer them to come. I don't know if they came. I don't know if anyone came. I mean, the most I could do is actually tell them where they can go there and ask for it, and they can see the document.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for taking time off in your busy schedule to share your views and opinions about the archives. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'd like to thank you, GK, for taking time off to come and give your views on the National Archives.
Right.
Thanks for inviting me, and I just want to thank the Naval Archive too for featuring the Harlem Sports Blog as part of their library week, and I encourage the public to visit when they have the library week to visit, and they can see the aspect of Harlem Football, Harlem Sports Club. We started in 1970, and we're still going on some 54 years. Okay, we are still there going on. So visit the archives when the library week is opened, and you will have a better idea of what the Harlem Sports Club is all about.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I encourage you guys to check out the archive. There's a lot of information down there.